Okay, this is going to be the last video of the project. Now, normally they won't go this slow, but I'm going exceptionally slow today, or I'm trying to, because this is our first project. You've never really used the software before, and we're just trying to take it easy. It's a little harder project than what I normally attempt to throw at you from a starting standpoint, but it's really kind of easy when you, in a way. There's no rocket science being thrown at you here. Okay, so we got our buttons extruded and we renamed them as new bodies so that we know what they are. Now, the last thing we got to do is just soften the edges on our buttons. So we're going to use the Fillet tool. We're in the design mode. There's my shortcut to fillet, keyboard shortcut F, modify fillet, more than one way of getting to it. So there, I'm going to click on fillet. Brings up my fillet palette, and the active section is to select the edges that I want to apply the fillet to. So I'm going to notice there's a bottom and top edge. I want the top edges of this button. So that's what I want to select. We need to be precise here. Click, click, click. Missed one. Click, click, click. Top. Make sure you're at the top. Click. All right, so I got that button selected. Let's go over here and get these will be easier. Click, 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 click. I can do both sides because they're all going to be receive the same fillet of 1.5 millimeters. So let's type in 1.5 in our dimension box. It projects out what the fillet will look like. Yep, there's our rounded edges on them. Looks good. Click OK. The fillets are applied. Last thing we have to do is to create our AB buttons here in the middle, and we'll be done. So we're going to create a sketch on the top surface of our design, and we'll add those buttons. So let's go over here, create sketch. Now, before I get there, the thing I want you to notice real quick, look down at our timeline. All of our steps are being recorded, and we can go back and access those steps at any point in time if we need to change something. Our designs are flexible, dynamic, and we can go make modifications if we need to. All right. So if I wanted to go back and change the height that I extruded the initial body, I can go back on the initial extrude, right click, or you can double click on it, edit feature, and I could change it from 38 millimeters to 50. Click OK. My design adapts and changes to that change. Okay. Makes our design very flexible. Let's go back and change it back to 38. Right click, edit feature, 38 millimeters. Okay, just wanted to point that out. The timeline is a tool that we will use a great deal in this class. Don't be confused when I say go to the timeline. All right, what were we doing? Oh, we're going to create a sketch on our top surface and put our AB buttons in. Create sketch. Remember, don't overlap with one of the planes. So I'm going to click up here, click, and there we are. Now, the first thing we have to do, and I'm going to move mine over so it's visible, is we need to position where our AB buttons are going to be. And it's going to be based, the origin here is the center of our design. Escape out of my hand tool. So I'm going to draw a center rectangle because I want my buttons to be 25 millimeters down. And was it 25? No. I want it to be 12.5 millimeters down and 12.5 millimeters over. So I'm going to draw a center rectangle. I'm going to turn construction on from the origin. Click. I'm going to draw 25 tab by 25 millimeter square from the origin and hit enter. So it's 25 millimeters from here to here, which means it's 12.5 millimeters from the origin to the bottom line and 12.5 over, another 12.5 over that direction. So these two lower corners represent where I want my A, B buttons to be. And to draw these buttons, because they're kind of an oval shape, they're not circles, I'm going to use the ellipse tool. Okay, the ellipse tool is 2 clicks and it has 3 dimensions: the height of the ellipse or the length, the width of the ellipse, and the degrees in which it's being drawn at. Is it going to be straight up 90 degrees or it's going to be slanted over one direction or another? So I'm in the sketch mode. Notice I'm back to the sketch menu. Create ellipse. Okay, ellipse. Click. I'm going to zoom in, make it easier to see here. I'm going to come down to this bottom corner. This is my first click on the ellipse. Click. I'm going to drag up. I want my ellipse to be 20 millimeters long. 20. I'm going to hit the tab key and I want it to be at 100 degrees. 100. All right. So I've set those. Click again. Now drag left. Notice how my ellipse starts to form. I've got a problem though. I didn't turn off construction and I want this to be part of my design. But I can fix it. Let's go ahead and put our ellipse in at 8 millimeters wide and hit enter. So there's my ellipse, but it's construction, so it's not an enclosed shape. It won't enclose for me. Let's select the line. Okay. Notice how it turns blue when I click on it. It's selected. Let's go over to my line type and deselect construction. Now it's no longer construction. Let's turn it back on because I want to show you another way of turning it on and off. Select the line, hit the X key on your keyboard. It deselects construction. Okay. Now, I could draw this again from this corner, or I could use the mirror tool to create an identical ellipse on the other side of the axis. Okay. I have multiple options in how to do this. We'll just draw the ellipse again. I've got construction off. Good. Or I could, well, like I said, just what I'm trying to demonstrate by saying that is there are multiple ways of doing the same thing. I'll tell you what, let's do the mirror tool. All right, let's go mirror. Object selected. There we go. I already had that highlighted, so click on it. Select your ellipse. The mirror line. What line do I want to project it on the other side of? Oh, it's not going to let me select the axis, so I have to draw a mirror line. Let's cancel. Let's go to my line tool. Make sure construction's on. Start at the origin, come right down the y-axis. That's good. There's my mirror line. Escape out of the line tool. Let's go back to mirror. Select your ellipse as the object to be mirrored. my mirror line. It's going to project it on the other side of this mirror line. There it is. Select it. No, that's not right. I want it tilted the other way. Cancel. Not going to work. All right, it's worth a shot. I hadn't tested that beforehand, obviously. So let's go to our ellipse tool. Let's go to the bottom corner here. Click. Start to go up 20 millimeters on my length. Tab 100 degrees. Click again. 8 millimeters. I did it again. I still got construction on. Hit enter. Select your line. Turn off construction. There we go. So now I have two enclosed buttons there. All right. So what we're going to do is extrude those buttons 2.5 millimeters. All right. And then we will rename them A and B. And we'll add a fillet of 2.5 millimeters to them and we'll be done. So finish sketch. Hit the E key to extrude. Let's select our two buttons. There we go. Extrude them 2.5 millimeters. New body is the operation. Okay. Click OK. Let's go to the home key, and my two buttons are now extruded up. They got some pretty harsh edges on them. Body 7. Notice how I hover over body 7. That's the left button. Click. Click again. Let's make it button A. Enter. Body 8. Click again. B. All right, so I've got all my buttons renamed. Now I'm going to fillet the two top edges and we're done except for the appearance. So let's go to fillet. Let's select the edge here and the edge here. And we want these really rounded, okay? So we're going to go with a full 2.5 millimeter. Oh, it's got an error there. Okay, 2 millimeters, not 2.5. 2 millimeter. Click OK. That was too much in the way of a fillet for the height. Okay, wasn't going to allow me to do that. All right, now the last thing we're going to do is the appearance. We're going to change the appearance of each button. Let's start with the controller. So let's click on controller over here. And let's right click on controller and appearance. All right, we get the appearance palette up here. Now, scroll up and down. I want you to go to plastics. Click on the plastic folder to expand. It may take a moment because you may have to download some of these items, okay? Everything that's up I've used. I'm just going to start with the ABS white. I'm going to click and drag it over and drop it on the face of my controller. It made it white. I don't really want it white. So I'm going up here. Notice how it added ABS white to in this design. I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to change it to a light gray.